Hi, my name's Amaya, and I'm thrilled to be here with you right now to introduce you to the new look and feel of Mathshare. Granted, it's not out in public yet, so do keep an eye on your email because we will let you know once it's been produced live, but it's coming, and we're really excited about it. And the purpose of this webinar is to introduce you to what it will look like and the differences between the original Mathshare interface and the new one. Help you get adjusted if you're familiar with that. And if you're not, well, just give you a sneak peek at what you can expect. So bear with me for a second while I share my screen, and then I'm going to actually walk you through the different interfaces and how it works for creating problems, solving problems if you're a student, assigning problems to students, and then submitting your work if you're a student. And obviously, this isn't a real-time webinar, so you can't ask questions directly, but I would do encourage you to email mathshare@benetech.org if you do have questions. Obviously, we want to make this as easy and seamless for you as possible. So let's get started. Currently, I'm actually looking at the new screen, but I am going to press this button, which I will touch on in a little bit, because I would like to start with the original look and feel of Mathshare. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Mathshare, and I should say, I guess, for those of you who aren't familiar, and for those of you who can see the screen, what we're looking at right now is what the original dashboard of Mathshare looks like. Very linear, dark colors, not a lot of graphics. It's arranged by my created sets, which are sets that I myself have created for students so I could assign them. And if I scroll down, I'll get to then my solution sets, which are sets that I could solve and then submit for a teacher or educator or support provider to see. And then we've got pre-made sets, and those are sets that exist in the Mathshare library that are there so that you or a student, anyone really, can actually take a spin, try them out, and see just how Mathshare works. But let's look at the new interface, shall we? For those of you not looking at the screen, there's a button in the top right-hand corner that says Switch to New Interface, and I'm going to click on that now. And here we go. Ta-da, the new interface. So if you're looking at the screen, you should be able to see that it looks really, really different. First of all, it's more colorful. Rather than things being organized linearly, things are organized in blocks. Another big difference is there's actually a navigation menu on the side, on the left-hand side, so that if you want to go to solution, problems that you're going to solve, you can click on My Solution Set, and it'll take you straight there. If you're looking at the sets that you've created, you can click on My Created Set. It'll take you to that. There are also links to go to learn more about Mathshare in general. If you have questions, there's a link to the Help Center. And if you'd like to know more, about the accessibility features, you can click on Accessibility. But again, and I do want to emphasize, if you prefer the original interface, you can always go back to it. All you have to do is click on the button in the top right-hand corner that says Switch Back to Original Interface. And that'll take you back to what you know and feel comfortable with. Similarly, if you type in Mathshare once it goes live and find yourself here, but you want the new look, the new feel, you can press the Switch to New Interface button, top right-hand corner, and it'll take you to the new interface. And if there are things that you like in one and things that you like in the other, you can also go back and forth. The big thing that we care about is making sure that people can interact with math in the way that works best for them. So we made sure to have these options to go back and forth depending on what you like. Which brings me to my next point. Why did we change the look and feel? So originally, and I'll switch back so you can see, the original Mathshare interface only works on laptops and desktops. And as we released it and as people were working with it and we did user testing and got feedback, we learned that in order to really interact with it the way that works best for a person, they also have to be able to interact with it on the device that works best for them. And sometimes that device was a mobile phone, and sometimes it was a tablet, and sometimes it was a laptop, and sometimes it was a desktop. And the original version only worked with the desktop and laptop. So this new version has been designed to also be compatible with mobile and also be compatible with tablets. So that's a little overview of the grand scheme of the differences. Let's look at what that actually means for using Mathshare. So again, I'm going to switch back to the new interface, and I'm actually going to dive into creating a problem set. With this new interface, you would select the new problem set button. And if I do this, I get taken straight to a page where I have the opportunity to name my problem set, actually add in the problem, and then put in the instructions on how to, not how to solve the problem, but what you're supposed to do. When using the old interface, it was a little more complicated than that. So I'm going to switch back to the original interface for just a second, show you what that looks like. So in the original interface, which is where I'm at now, I would click on Create a Problem Set. And the first thing that comes up is this pop-up window with what we call palettes. These palettes allow you to add edit functions. There's a calculate function, a cross-out function. It allows you to add operators. These are just your basic math symbols, plus, minus, multiplication, division. Notations, that's fractions, square roots, exponents, etc., and geometry, just very basic geometry symbols. And for those of you who aren't looking at the screen, there's a menu with the options that I just mentioned, and next to each option, geometry, notations, operations, and edit is a checkbox. And if you want to allow your students to have access to these features or keys, you would check the box on. If you don't want them to have access to it, for example, they don't need to have access to geometry for any of the sets I'm about to create, I would uncheck it, and that these options wouldn't show up. And then I would hit next. I'd be taken to my problem set dashboard. I could name it in the top left-hand corner by clicking on this pencil icon. For those of you who can't see the screen, there's a pencil icon for edit. It'll read as edit if you're using a screen reader. And it would allow me to name the problem set. And then I would select on the Add Problem Set button. And I'd be taken to this window where it's divided into fields. There's a field for the equation. There's a field for the prompt, and the prompt means what's the student supposed to do. So solve for X, find the, calculate the angle, solve the word problem, etc. And then you could press the button in the bottom corner that says Add Problem to add it to your problem set. But that's the old version. The new version is more streamlined. And if you give me 1 second, I'm going to go back and show you what it looks like in the new version. Again, I'm going to press that Switch to New Interface button to take you back to the new and improved, hopefully, interface. And I'm going to select the New Problem Set button. The first thing I'd like you to notice is that I wasn't prompted to choose the palette. The reason for this is because user research has shown us that people found choosing palette confusing. So now they're just integrated directly in. You don't have to worry about that. Also, it's a much more streamlined and simplified visual for those of you who can see the screen. Rather than having it be field-based with navigation and lots of colors, it's just a list. And on the top of that list, you name your problem set. So you just select the text that's already there and simply type over it. You can use your keyboard, you can use an external keyboard, anything that you use to input text, you can use to just type right over this. I'm going to call it demo set for webinar because I'm not very creative. And then I can either use my tab key on my keyboard or my mouse, whatever I want to move down. I use the tab key and I get to the next field, which has a pencil icon for those of you who can see the screen. And that's where I'm going to input my equation, what the student's going to solve. I haven't really thought this through, but why don't we do 45x minus 36 equals 987. I doubt that will be pretty, but it doesn't matter because we won't be solving it. And then I'll press tab or I'll click down to the next field and give the instructions, which for this is solve for x. And once again, I'm just happy I don't actually have to do this. At this point, I will click on the plus icon, or I think it's actually a button if you're using a screen reader. And doing that will add it to my problem set. So now, for those of you who are looking at the screen, there is a 0, 1 and a 0, 2 indicator between the title and the actual problem. And that just means one problem's been added and I now have the option to add another, which I'll do just for the sake of it. So let's do 45x minus 78y equals 370, 200 apparently, 279. And then for the instructions, we'll say solve for x in terms of y. And again, I'll press that plus button. And now I have two problems added to this set with the option to do a third. And I can either go back to my dashboard and save my work, or for those of you who can see the screen, there's a button on the top right that says assign set. For those of you who can't see the screen, there's a button in the top right corner that says assign set. If I click that button, which I'm doing now, it brings up a pop-up menu, and that pop-up menu has three options. The first option is to copy the link. The second is just a button that says Google Classroom, and the third is a button that says Microsoft Teams. This is important because this is how you assign problems to your students. If you're using an LMS other than Google Classroom or other than Microsoft Teams, so I don't know, Seesaw or Schoology, anything really, you can copy this link by selecting or clicking on the copy link button and just paste it directly into your LMS. If you're using Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams, both of those are actually integrated into Mathshare. So for example, I can click on Google Classroom and I'm taken to a pop-up menu with a drop-down that asks me to choose a class. And if I click on that, I have the option to choose the class that I'm teaching or the classes that I am enrolled in. Obviously, this is a demo account, so there's both. But if I were to click on the classes that I'm teaching, we get Mathshare. And then I'm asked to choose an action. I can do a number of things, but obviously I'm going to create an assignment because that's what I'm doing. And then if I press go, it would take me to my actual Google account. I'll try. Oh, yeah. I wasn't sure I actually had a Google account, but apparently I do. So it takes me to my Google Classroom account. I can assign it. I can select how many points it's for. I can assign a due date. I can even give it a topic. And this will be the same for Microsoft Teams, if that's what you're using. Which I guess is a really good segue or intro into how a student would solve a problem and what that would look like for them. Without actually logging into my student's Google Classroom account, I will say, so if you're using an LMS or you're using Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams, you know how you would get a notification that you have a new assignment. So you click on that new assignment and it would be the link to the Mathshare problem set that you as a teacher, educator, support provider created. And your student would click on the link and it would take them straight to Mathshare, like literally what you're, well, not literally what you're seeing here, but similar to what you're seeing here, but you know, personalized to them. And what they would do is they would go to their solution sets. And if they were coming here from an assignment that you have actually assigned to them, it would actually take them straight to the set. If they're coming just because you had told them that you had assigned them a set, they would actually have to go to their solution set. I'm going to just pick one since this is a demo and I haven't been assigned anything. But as a student, I'm going to select example problem set. And I would assume that the assignment is to do all of these. For the sake of time, I'm just going to do this one, solve for x. For those of you who can't see the screen, there was about 8 different problems that I could choose from, and I chose one. And apparently I choose this often when doing demos because I've already done it, but I'll still walk us through what has happened. So when I open it, I'm going to get an actual problem. It shows me what the problem is, and it tells me what the instructions are. So solve for x. And then I'm in step 1, and this will be blank. In fact, I can just delete it. Not that that would help, but it would be blank. There would be no steps below it. And so I would have to go in and do whatever it is that I would do as a student to start solving, which in this case would be write it out and then start isolating terms. So I wrote out 7x minus 13 equals 1 because that's the equation. And then I'm going to write plus 13 next to the negative 13. And then on the other side, by the 1, I'm going to also say plus 13. Below that, which has writing in it, but wouldn't if I was visiting this not in a demo, I'd be asked to add my explanation here. And this is a place where I say my thinking or what I'm doing. So, you know, I'm adding 13 to both sides to isolate x so I can solve for it. And for those of you who can see my screen, there's a button that says add steps. For those of you who can't see the screen, there's a button that says add steps. I can get to that visually. I can get to that by tabs. I can get to that through the screen reader. I'll select that and it will add the steps. One thing I would like to point out is, you know, this was already done and I was able to just go right back and start working on it. So that's how easy it is. And it's nice because, you know, you're not locked in as a student. It helps with math anxiety, right? Like you go through, you work through the steps, maybe you get the wrong answer, maybe you're not comfortable with the answer. You can scroll back up and down and see what you've done and just go right into it by clicking on it or selecting it and rework it. For us, let's pretend I wasn't revisiting. So I did that, I hit the add step, and again, I'm prompted to start solving. So now I'm working with 7x minus 13 plus 13 equals 1 plus 13. So I get 7x. I know negative 13 plus 13 is 0. So I could put a 0, but I'm just going to leave it like, you know, cancel it out. And I know 1 plus 13 equals 14. So I get 7x equals 14. And my notes of what I did, or my notes of thinking is I simplified. Now, here, actually, I realized I originally had an error here because I wanted to show what it would look like. But if I did 7x divided by 7x divided by 14, or just, you know, something weird, maybe I was going too fast as a student, you know, that feeling where it's like, you know exactly what to do, so you kind of rush through it. Or maybe I really didn't understand it. I don't know. But let's say I knew exactly what I was doing and rushed through and created something that looked crazy like this. But in my explanation, I would say dividing both sides by 7 to isolate x in order to solve. So as a teacher, a support provider, as an educator, you would now know that even though my math was wrong, verging on, you know, inane, I still understood what I was doing. So you know that, like, did I make a mistake? Did the student make a mistake? Yes, but the student knows what they're doing. Conversely, like maybe I had 7x divided by 7 equals 14 divided by 7 but my explanation was, it's the only number left and I don't know what to do. So that's what I'm doing. You would know that, yes, they got to the right answer, but they didn't actually understand why. And so one of the benefits of Mathshare, and the reason why we encourage or, have this step of explaining your work, is so that as a teacher, as an educator, as a support provider, you can see immediately and clearly what your students understand, what they don't understand, and where they're confused. And then lastly, just moving on, I divided both sides by 7, as we said. I got to my final answer. And then I have the opportunity to either add a step or finish it. I will say, because this is a demo and I've already done it, I can't actually finish it. But for those of you who can see my screen, you'll see there's an add step and not a finish step. For those of you who can't see it, ignore what I'm saying. But had I got into this from an assignment, there would have been a button that said add step on the right and a finish step. Or I'm sorry, not finish step, just finish on the left. And once I finished, I'd be brought back to my solution sets, which are, again, the sets that have been assigned to me. And now I can actually submit my work. And the way that I do this is by selecting the drop-down menu. And I have, in the drop-down menu, for those of you who can't see, is a 3-dot menu. And I have the option to share my work, or I can click on the problem set itself. And then again, there's a 3-dot menu under my profile picture, and I have the option to share my work. And clicking on share my work or share my answers brings up a window very similar, and by very similar, I mean exactly the same, of what you saw as a teacher when you're assigning work. You have 3 choices. You have the link that you can copy, the Google Classrooms or the Microsoft Teams. Copy the link. You, as a student, can email it back to your teacher. You can paste it into the LMS that you use. If you're using Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams, again, I'll click on the Google Classrooms link. You choose the class that you're enrolled in. This won't work for me because I haven't assigned this set to myself, but had this been assigned, instead of saying, please select a class that has an upcoming assignment, I would have the option to turn in my work or submit my work, and then Go would not be grayed out. I'd be able to just click it and it would take me to my Google Classrooms account. Same thing with Microsoft Teams. So while there are definitely differences between the original interface and the new interface, our hope is that they're not too extreme. And more importantly, our hope is that you'll find this new interface easier to use, more intuitive. And of course, if you don't, you can always go back to the new one. And as always, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. Again, that's mathshare@benetech.org, or check out our YouTube. You can just search Mathshare on YouTube, and we have our own channel with lots and lots and lots of videos that go through different aspects of using the Mathshare program. So thank you for joining me tonight. I hope this was helpful. And like I said, keep an eye on your email for the announcement of when this goes live. We're really excited about it and hope you are too. Bye.